So all of you back, right? You need to open the new chat box, probably close this and then open it again, as it's a new video stream created for the 2B part of the lecture. Right, so all good. Right, you probably thought that, oh, audit class is starting, so we'll have to start with standards on auditing and all of that. Don't worry, that's coming later on in full-fledged in voluminous manner. But to begin with and to make it different from the inter-audit, right, we started our discussion from the chapter of professional ethics and the liabilities of the auditor. Yes, are you quite liking it? Yes, everybody has the class. Are you able to see the class? Right, has it started for you? Because I have already started. So I just wanted to check with all of you if it is all set there. If yes, then we need to discuss regarding the branch offices. Right, then we need to start our discussion. Right, so you need to end that particular stream. Okay. Right, so one of the students has mentioned, thank you very much for your videos. Okay, right, so yes, as you're watching on YouTube, there are a lot of videos, but for the lot of chapters for your normal 23 exams, right? So you can even see those. I don't know which attempt you're writing, but yeah, whichever one. According to the one you're writing, not whichever one. Okay, right, so let's head on. हाँ आ गए यहाँ पे yes आ गया मतलब oh yes, everything is fine. Okay, right, let's start with our discussion on section 27, which is regarding the maintenance of the branch offices. Can a CA have an office? Yes. Can he have more than one office? Yes. How do you define an office of a CA? Wherever a name board of the firm is fixed, wherever the address is used on the letterhead, the stationery of the CA firm, that is how you define an office of a CA. Now, what is the golden rule? Right? What is the golden rule? What is the thumb rule for the branch offices of the CA? Right? Can he have more than one offices? Yes. But what is the golden rule for having more than one offices? That each of these offices, right, each of the branch office, right, or each of the other offices of the CA has to be under the separate charge of a member of the institute. That's the golden rule. That's the thumb rule. Then we'll see the exceptions to the thumb rule. But right now, that's the rule. Okay, if a CA is having more than one office, then at each of these other offices, there should also be a member of the institute. Separate charge of a member of the institute. That member may be your partner or he may be your employee. Not necessary that it has to be a partner who is in charge of another office. It could be an employee, but that employee has to be a chartered accountant. He has to be a member of the ICAR. Article. You cannot open a branch office and keep that, oh, my article is in charge of this office. No. Or a BCom graduate is in charge of this office. No. It has to be under the separate charge of a member of the institute. That member may be your partner or may be your employee. That means it could be CA in P or CA in S, that is CA in practice or CA in service. But what is required is that he should be a member of the ICAR. Right, then what does it say? For a member to have the separate charge, it says that member who is having the separate charge of the office of the CA, he should be having the active association with that office. When is it considered that, yeah, the member is having the active association with the office of the CA? It says when at least for 182 days you are residing in that city or that place where that office is there, or you attend office over there at least for 182 days in a year. Right? That is, you do up down every day. Like say the office is 80 kilometers away, and every day you come and go at least for 182 days, or at least for 182 days you stay at that other place where the office is there. Only then it will be considered. It can't be like only paperwork. Okay, you CAR, you are in charge of this office, but you sit in head office only, no need for you to go to the branch. No, there has to be active association. Right. If the CA has more than one offices, he has to declare which of the offices is main office. And obviously all the other offices will be the branch office. Right. So say a CA is having office in T Nagar, M Nagar, R Nagar, P Nagar, Q Nagar. Right. So now out of this he has to mention that T Nagar is head office. Whichever, any one of them can be head office. But it says that he has to specify, declare which to the ICAI, which is the head office and the main office, and the others would be the branch offices. Right. Is it clear to all of you? Each office of a CA should be under the separate charge of a member of the institute. Right? So say I have 10 offices. So at each of those 10 offices, there should be one CA. That CA, let it be my partner or let it be my employee, but there has to be a CA in each of my office. Right? An active association of that CA. That is, he should at least be residing at that place for 182 days or attending office over there at least for 182 days in a year. Clear to all of you so far? Okay. Right. Now, where no separate charge is required, that means now I come to the exemption. First, what I told you, golden rule. Now I am talking about the exemption. Okay, no need to have a CA in charge of the other office. Right. So these exemptions, when no separate charge is required, are you listening to me? Right. Generally, one area from where question comes from these sections is the section 2.2. Members who are deemed to be in practice. And another area where the question comes from these sections is section 27, which is regarding the maintenance of the branch offices. Right. So one exemption where no separate charge of a member of the institute is required is for those chartered accountants who are practicing in the hilly areas. Right, hill areas or the hilly areas. Right, it is applicable for those CAs in practice who are practicing in the hilly areas. This exemption is applicable for them. That means, say you are practicing in Leh or Ladakh, some hilly, mountainous area, or some, area where there is huge amount of snow or heavy winters, or, and they are not accessible. Right, so it says these CA, they are having here they don't use the word head office and branch office or main office and branch office. Here they use the word RO and TO. Who is RO? Regular office. And what is TO? It is your temporary office. It says these CAs who are having their regular office in the hilly areas can open a temporary office in the plain areas. So the regular office is on the hill. Okay, the temporary office has to be in the plain area, not exceeding 3 months in a year. Right, so not more than 3 months. Right, so these chartered accountants practicing in hilly areas, when they are not accessible, they can open a temporary office in the plain area. Now, this temporary office in the plain area, is that required to be under a separate charge of a member of the institute? No. That's the exemption. Okay, no separate charge is required. Is it like now I'm operating from the temporary office, so regular office has to be closed? No. Regular office need not be closed. You can keep both the offices open. Then the nameplate of the firm, like say a Sparkle and Company, should be put outside the temporary office only when the period when you're functioning from there. And you're functional from there. So I'm working from the temporary office only for 2 months in a year. So only for the 2 months I should put my nameplate over there. I cannot put the nameplate for the entire year. Right? Only for the period when you're operating from there. Right. Then temporary office address should not be mentioned on the stationery of the CA form. Right. So say this temporary area is some particular area, like say some Chickpet or some area, some hill area over there. Right. So it says no, temporary office address not to be mentioned on the stationery. Then before you start operating from this temporary office, and after you stop operating from this temporary office, you have to send an intimation to ICAI by registered post acknowledgement due. Right. By registered post, not under certificate of posting. RPAD means what? Registered post acknowledgement due. Means it has to be a registered post. You should have a positive evidence that I have given the information to ICAI that this date I opened my temporary office and this date I am closing my temporary office. Right? At both times you have to communicate to ICAI. Right, so this is the exemption for the chartered accountants who are practicing in the hilly areas which are not accessible during the winters, so they can have a temporary office in the plain areas not exceeding 3 months in a year, and there is no need to have a separate charge of a member of the institute. Regular office need not be closed. Temporary office nameplate should be put over there only for the period when you're operating from there. Temporary office address should not be mentioned in the stationery of the CA form. And before you start operating and after you stop operating from the temporary office, you have to send an intimation to ICAI by registered post acknowledgement due. Clear to all of you, right? So separate charge is required of the member of the institute, separate charge, partner or employee, active association is required, and then we talk where no separate charge is required, one for members practicing in the hilly areas, right? For members practicing in the hilly areas. Clear to all of you? Right, not exceeding TO. I told you, temporary office not exceeding 3 months. Regular office need not be closed. Name board on the form in the temporary office should not be displayed at times other than the period such office is permitted to function. So only for the period when you're functioning from that office. Temporary office address should not be mentioned in the letterhead visiting card. And before you start operating and after you stop operating from this office, right, you close this office, an intimation to that effect has to be sent to the office of the institute, ICAI, by registered post. Right? Do you understand that? And any additional office opened by a CA, you have to send this intimation to ICAI. Right? When you start, whenever you open a new office, not only when you open a temporary office, it says whenever CA opens any office or he closes any office, he has to send an intimation to ICAI by registered post acknowledgement due. Okay, let's come to a question. Who is practicing in Madurai, or I think Madurai, Kodaikanal? Yeah, Madurai. Okay, right. Question number 3. Right, Z, a newly qualified CA, started his practice in February 18 by setting up an office in the hill station of Kodaikanal. Initially, since he was getting very less assignment, he decided to set up a temporary office in the nearby city of Madurai, situated at about 100 km from the main office. As planned, he took an office space on rent for the month of April, May, June, not 3 months, more than 3 months. Mrs. A, another newly qualified CA who is also in practice in Madurai, came to know about the new office of Mr. Z. Thinking that he could be a potential competitor, she informed the institute stating that Z had violated the provisions of the CA Act. As a member of the Board of Discipline of ICAI, you are requested to analyze this complaint. Right? Exactly what we studied. So is it okay? The CA is having a temporary office in the plain areas not exceeding 3 months in a year. Right, so you write down the provisions regarding K1, separate charge is required. Then you say for members practicing in hilly areas where no separate charge is required. And then you say in the given case. Right, Z has set up his regular office and has set up a temporary office, and regular office is not closed, and he was in charge of both the offices. In view of the above mentioned criteria, he is eligible to avail the benefits of the above exemption. It is given that temporary office was open in Madurai only for 3 months and not beyond that. Right, April, May, June. The fact that Z was in charge for both the offices, the temporary office being set up in the plains, which is 100 kilometers away, and regular office kept open during the 3 months, does not constitute any violation of the provisions of the Act. Assuming that has informed the institute, because you have to inform, no, when you start and when you stop, right, regarding such temporary office in the prescribed manner. Therefore, in the given case, no penal action needs to be taken on the basis of complaint registered by Mrs. A, as Mr. Z is not guilty of professional misconduct. करता है काम, है ना? Are you understanding, right, what we are discussing? समझ रहा है? जा रहा है? जा रहा है अंदर? एकदम बुलेट प्रूफ है, जाता ही नहीं है कुछ. ऐसे बुलेट प्रूफ नहीं चलेगा. स्पॉन्ज, it has to go absorb, it has to get absorbed whatever we are discussing. Following now. It's just out of my concern I'm asking you. Otherwise, I can go on and on, going on to the next provision. But no, it has to be a two-way communication over there. So I just have to, keep the, it's like the chariot and the horses in front of it. So you have to keep them. No, otherwise, going here, there, anywhere. No, not right. Yes, everyone. Yes. Okay, amazing, super. Let's study the second set of exceptions then, right? The second set of exceptions over there, which is for all chartered accountants. This was for those chartered accountants who were practicing in the hilly areas. Now, second set of the exception is for all chartered accountants, for all CAs in practice. Obviously, we are talking office will be there of CA in practice only. Can CA set up 2 temporary office? No, only one temporary office. Right, so only one, right? So all CAs in practice. Now, second set of exemption is for all CAs in practice. Okay, now for hilly areas, what terms had they used over there? Regular office and the temporary office. Now, what terms are they using over here? The first office and the second office. That means the exception is only for the second office, not for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th office of the CA. Because I told you, CA can have any number of offices. Right. So what does it say? No separate charge of the member of the institute is required for the second office. Right. For the second office, if it is located in the same accommodation, same premises in which your first office is located. Right, so say I have one office in some World Trade Tower on the 4th floor and one office I have it on the 8th floor. So it's in the same accommodation, same premises, or I have it in the same, SEZ or same Cyber City or so, and one is in block A and one is in block B. So it's in the same accommodation. Is it required to be under a separate charge of a member of the institute? No, not required. Right. Or if the second office is located in the same city. Right. So I have one office on Lakdi Ka Pool in Hyderabad and I have one office in Amirpet in Hyderabad. Right. So it's in the same city. Right. So is it required, it to be under a separate charge of a member of the institute? No, not required. Like in Delhi, I have one office in, say, Lakshmi Nagar and one office I have it in Chandni Chowk. What does it say? It's in the same city. So no need to have a separate charge of a member of the institute. Are you understanding that? Same city. Or any one of the three, either same accommodation premises or same city, or if the second office, no need for it to be under a separate charge if it is in the same accommodation or if it is in the same city or if it is within 50 kilometers, within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city. Within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office, FO is what? In which the first office is located. Right, if my second office is within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office is located. What does that mean? Okay, this is my first office, FO. These are the municipal limits of the city in which my first office is located. No city is so round, but yeah, just an example. And these are the municipal limits of the city in which my first office is located. Now, within 50 kilometer from the municipal limit. So, municipal limit ke aage 50 kilometer. If I have a second office over here, it says no need to have it under a separate charge of a member of the institute. Like you have an office in Pune and you have an office in Pimpri Chinchwad, which is in the suburbs of Pune. Right? Suburbs of Mumbai, suburbs of Chennai. Like you have an office in Mumbai and one in Navi Mumbai or Panvel or any nearby area over there. You have to check whether it is within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits. If yes, then no need to have it under a separate charge of a member of the institute. Can I have a third office, fourth office, fifth office? You can, but it has to be under a separate charge. The exemption of not having a separate charge is only for the second office. Can I make this my first office and this my second office? Yes. Can any one of the two be my main office and the other be the branch office? Yes. Anyone. Are you understanding that? Right. So where no separate charge is required for all CAs in practice for the second office, if it is located in the same accommodation or premises, or if it is located in the same city, or if it is located within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office is located. Right. So say I have a partnership firm. Right. We are two partners. I'm one partner. I'm in Delhi, and there is another partner in Bangalore. Right, there is another partner in Bangalore. So is it required, one office in Delhi, one office in Bangalore? Is it required to be under a separate charge of a member of the institute? Yes, because it's not in the same accommodation, it's not in the same city, and it's not within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office is located. Clear to all of you? Right? So that is the exemption for all the chartered accountants. Okay. Now practicing chartered accountants. Right. Let's come to question number 1. Gautam Mahavir. So we saw the name board. Now question number 2. Yes. Everyone, please read question number 2. Suburbs. Suburbs matlab outside the municipal limit, like the suburbs of that, like, nearby villages and places. Yes, 3 times question asked in your exams. A CA in practice as a sole proprietor has an office in the suburbs of Mumbai. So first office is like say in the suburbs. Due to increase in the income tax assessment work, he opens another office near the income tax office, which is within the city and at a distance of 30 kilometers from his office in the suburbs. So the distance is not more than 50 kilometers, right? For running the new office, he is employed a retired income tax commissioner who is not a CA. So CA is not in charge. Is it okay? A retired income tax commissioner? Yes. Okay. Why? Because it is within 50 kilometer. Same question. If I make it 80 kilometer, same question entirely, I keep it as it is, but I just make it 80 kilometer. Then will that retired income tax commissioner do? No. Then it will be guilty. Then it will be guilty. Right. So because it's 30 kilometers. So first what you need to write, as per section 27. Just today we studied as per section 224. So now what we need to write, as per section 27 of the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. If a CA in practice has more than one office in India, each of these offices should be under the separate charge of a member of the institute. This is the thumb rule. Then, however, a member can be in charge of 2 offices if the second office is located in the same premises or in the same city in which the first office is located. Right? So, same premises, same city, or the second office is located within a distance of 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office is located. In the given case, in view of the above provisions, there will be no misconduct if A will be in charge of both the offices. However, and a cherry on the top, he is bound to declare which of the 2 offices is the main office. Must hai, this is like extra feather on the cap. Right? He is bound to declare which of the 2 office is the main office. Okay. Right. Question number 3, Kodaikanal. We've already seen. Just see question number 4. Yes. Question number 4, M& Company, a sole proprietary CA firm in practice with an office in the busy belt of the city, had great difficulty in regularly attending to the consultancy needs of his clients, who are mostly located in an industrial cluster in a nearby outskirt, which is situated at a distance of 26 kilometers from the office of the firm. To mitigate the difficulty and to have ease of business, a facilitation center was opened in the industrial cluster. The proprietor managed both the office and the facilitation center by himself. So it's within 50 kilometers, right? So shouldn't be a problem. No intimation was made to ICAI. Gaya. Out. Yes, what does the umpire within you say? Not vampire, umpire. Right? What does it say? Out. No intimation, because before you open and after you close the office, you have to inform to ICAI by registered post acknowledgement due. Examine whether there is any professional misconduct. right? So again, you write down the contents of section 27 in the given case, right? So wherever, just to reduce the size and content of the book, wherever I've written it at one place, right? So to avoid the repetition, right? I've already written section 27 over here, right? So the same thing needs to be written also in the next answers over there. Okay, so in the given case, M&M Company, a sole proprietorship firm, has an office and they had difficulty and they opened a facilitation center and the proprietor is managing both, right? So though the distance between the office and the facilitation center, though it is called facilitation center, naam kuch bhi do hai to second office hi, sort of second office is within the prescribed range of 50 kilometer. So there's no problem with it being in charge of both the office. But M&M Company will be liable for misconduct as prescribed intimation about the facilitation center and the main office should be sent to ICAI. Are you getting that, everyone? Okay. Right. So that is section 27, which is regarding the maintenance of the branch offices, right? The exemption may be granted for a CA in practice to have a second office without such second office being under a separate charge if it is located in the same accommodation premises, same city or within 50 kilometers, right? And a member having two offices has to declare which is the main office. Right, all good, everyone? Section 27, maintenance of the branch offices. Right, all good, all of you? Section 27, maintenance of the branch offices. What is an office? Branch office, golden rule, exemption, hilly areas for regular office, temporary office, then the first office, second office, within 50 kilometer from the municipal limits. Declare which is the main office, send intimation to ICAI when you start, when you close. Yes, all good? You give me a word that you will be now able to write the answer in the exam if the question comes. You will be able to remember all this till the day of your exam. Pakka, guarantee, assurance. Reasonable or absolute? Confident. Yes. All analysis done. No further. Now already you are spending so many hours of your time in the class itself. So get the work done here itself, right? Why put it on later? Later I'll do this. Later. What all you'll do, Ray? So much is there in the syllabus. Okay. Right. So all good, everyone. Right. Let's proceed further. Right. Obviously, I can't ask whether you have a bank account. I'm sure like all of you would be having a bank account. And when you open a bank account, right, before opening the bank account, the bank does your KYC. Or even when before you want to start your mutual fund investment, right, they do the KYC over there, right? So now just as a bank, before opening an account of a customer, they do the KYC. Just as a bank, before they open an account of a customer or provide any financial services to a customer, they first do the KYC of the customer. Similarly, a CA in practice who has to provide services to his client before providing the services, any services, audit, accounts, verification, or consultancy or so, any services, before a CA provides the consultancy or any services to his client, he first has to do the KYC of the client, right? So KYC norms for CAs in practice, right? So next question for our discussion is the KYC norms, right? So cannot that some uncle comes to your office, bolte अरे बेटा मेरा return भरना था, तो इसे लाओ uncle मैं भर देता हूँ. नहीं, पहले uncle का KYC करना होगा. You understand? No. And anybody is just coming to your office and say, oh, I wanted a certificate, I wanted to loan from the bank. So you say, come, I will give the certificate to you. No, first do the KYC of the person and then do the certification work. Any work for that matter, right? First, you have to do the KYC, right? So soft copy, yeah, the access ebook, okay, yeah, the encrypted ebook, I am to upload it. I need to check it with the technical team regarding how it works on this software. So I couldn't do it yesterday, but I'll get it done today. Okay, so I hope your book is also on the way, reaching to you at the earliest possibility. Even I'm waiting for the book, as I told you all. Okay, let's see whether you receive it first or me. Right. Okay. Right. So now let's come for KYC norms for CAs in practice, right? KYC norms. Are you understanding that? Right. So any services before you provide to your client, first practicing CA, you have to do the KYC. For bank, it is know your customer, it is know your client. Right. So KYC norms for CAs in practice. The financial services industry globally is required to obtain information of their clients and comply with the KYC. Keeping in mind the highest standards of the chartered accountancy profession in India, the Council of ICAI thought it necessary to issue such norms to be observed by the members of the profession who are in practice. In light of this background, the Council of ICAI has approved the following KYC norms, which are mandatory in nature and apply on all assignments pertaining to the attest function. Right, so mandatory in nature. Right, the KYC norms as approved by the council are given below. Right, so first it is divided under 3 parts and then divided under 2 and 3 parts. Right, so what are first 3 parts? One, where your client is an individual. Second, where your client is a corporate entity. And third, where your client is a non-corporate entity, like say a firm, LLP or so. So client is individual proprietor, client is corporate entity, client is non-corporate entity. Columns are okay. Client is individual proprietor, client is corporate entity, client is non-corporate entity. Then 2 rows over there, general information, engagement information, and for second column, corporate entity, you also have the regulatory information. Oh, there's a formatting error over there, right? So it's regulatory information. Right, so general information, engagement information, and in case of corporate entity, you also have the regulatory information. So did you get the outline? Right, what is the outline over there? Client is individual proprietor, client is a corporate entity, client is a non-corporate entity. Right, then after that, general information, engagement information, and regulatory information. But regulatory information is only for the corporate entity. Right, it is only for the corporate entity. Okay, right, what general information you have to collect? What is it we are talking about? KYC. And know your client. To know your client, you have to do the NPBC. Right, you have to do the, not NBFC, it is NPBC. You have to know the name of your client. You have to get the PAN number of your client. You have to get the business description of your client. Okay, what business are they doing? And the copy of the last audited financial statement. Right, so name, PAN, Aadhaar card. Right, then after that, the business description and the copy of the last audited financial statement. Right, what did I just tell you? NPBC. So how you remember? KYC is equal to NPBC. Right, so what is the NPBC over there? Name of the individual, PAN, Aadhaar of the individual, business description, copy of the last audited financial statement. Then in case of corporate entity, name, address of the entity instead of the individual. Right, then after that, you have the company PAN, SIN, DIN, director name and address. Right, so the P comes under the regulatory information. And your individual PAN, your company PAN, company identification number, director's identification number, director's name and their address. Right, then the business description and then copy of the last audited financial statement. And what is extra point? Name of the parent company in case of subsidiary. Right, so that's the additional point, name of the parent company in case of subsidiary, and here the DIN and the director's name and address. Right, then where client is a non-corporate entity, again name, address of the entity. Right, then copy of the PAN, then the business description, then the copy of the last audited financial statement. So again, everywhere are you noticing NPBC? Right, NPBC. Then here it was director's name and address. Here it is the partner's name and address with their PAN, Aadhaar, DIN and so. Right, with their PAN, Aadhaar, DIN and so. Right, this comes under the general and the regulatory information. Then engagement information is the type of engagement. Okay, tax audit, stat audit, internal audit, what type of service are you providing? Right, so engagement information is the type of engagement. Right, clear to all of you? You understand this chart? What you have to remember mainly is the NPBC. What does NPBC stand for? Name of the individual entity. Right, then P for PAN or Aadhaar, PAN number or the Aadhaar number. If it's company, then company identification number, director identification number, name of parent company if it's a subsidiary, then the director's name and address. Right, then if it's other than corporate entity, the name of the entity, and then after that the PAN, Aadhaar, then the partner's name and the address and the partner's PAN, Aadhaar audit. Are you getting that? Right? That is the P. Right? Then B is the business description. Then C is the copy of the last audited financial statements. This comes under the general and the regulatory information in case of corporate entity. And then after that, you have the engagement information, which is the type of engagement. Right? Which is the type of engagement. Right? Let's see one question, which is there. Only one question over there. Right. Question number 1. F. A CA gave advisory services to PQR Private Limited. Right? So he is not doing what you say audit work. He's doing advisory and consultancy type. He gave them some GST consultancy and also helped them in ERP setup and enterprise resource planning. Later, the company turned out to be a part of group of companies involved in money laundering. Later on, pata chala, hey, this company to whom I gave advisory and consultancy and ERP, they are involved in money laundering. F was asked to provide the details of the company. F ko pucha, give us the details of the company. Say ICI or some regulatory authorities asked. F refused on the ground that he only gave consultancy services and he wasn't supposed to keep any information about the company. No, you have to do the KYC. Right. Is F right as per the guidelines issued by the ICAI? Right. So first you need to write down the KYC norms for CAs in practice, and in the given case of PQR Private Limited, a corporate entity, F should have done the KYC. Right. F should have done the KYC. Right. So are you able to appreciate the content of the book? That we discuss the topic, then whatever relevant question is there for that particular topic is given over there. Yes, many students have been able to achieve success. See, you can achieve success even by studying from the study material of ICAI, doing self-study or studying from the book of any other author. You know, it doesn't, it's secondary. Like how you study and how much you study, that's what matters more. But yeah, there are many students who've achieved their success in the audit paper, have got wonderful marks and good confidence for the preparation of the subject through study of by studying through these books. Right, so you have to take the best advantage, otherwise the content will lie in the book only. It has to go over here. Okay, right. So और एक हो गया KYC norms for CAs in practice. We are like tick 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 tick. है ना? Section 7, members to be known as chartered accountant. ठीक है. Section 2, members who are deemed to be in practice. Okay. Section 27, maintenance of the branch offices. Okay. KYC norms for CAs in practice. Okay. My client could be individual, corporate entity, non-corporate entity, general information, engagement information, and the regulatory information. Okay. Now, yesterday, one of the fundamental principle ethical requirement I discussed with you was PCDC, professional competence and due care. I also discussed confidentiality. CA should do his work with due care. This CA, hopeless fellow, not doing work with due care. You told him, we want the report by 25th April. No, not listening. Problem with current generation. No, not giving the report on time. Company had to pay the penalty because of the CA's delay. Now company says we want to file a complaint against this CA. This is not the behavior. This is not right. We are aggrieved. We are not happy at all with the services provided by the CA. We want to file a complaint. You understood? You took an audit of a company which was earlier being done by your friend. You should have taken, you have to take an NOC before you take an audit, which was earlier being done by another CA. You said, "Arey, wo to mera friend hi hai." So that's why you did not take the NOC, the no objection certificate. Now, the friend says, friendship is different. Business is business. Okay. Don't mix these personal and professional matters. That's what the friend means. And he says, no, you didn't take the NOC from me. So I want to file a complaint against you. Right? So your client wants to file a complaint against you. One CA wants to file a complaint against another CA. Say an article wants to file a complaint against the principal. Kidhar jaye? Where to go to file the complaint against a CA? Yes? Yes, don't write Supreme Court. Okay, don't be so extreme. Okay? Where to go to file a complaint against the chartered accountant? Yes, so we have the disciplinary mechanism of the ICAI. Right? You can file a complaint with the disciplinary directorate of the ICAI. You can file a complaint. Right. In this disciplinary, I'll show you the website of the disciplinary directorate shortly. Okay. On this disciplinary directorate of ICAI, there is an uncle or an auntie sitting over there who is called as the director discipline. Right. What is their role? They ensure the discipline of all the members. Right. So director discipline. You make a complaint to them. You give your complaint, you make a complaint to them. They will go through your complaint. Okay, what is your complaint? Okay, you're saying, oh, the CA has not given the report on time, or oh, the CA has not taken the NOC from me. That's the complaint. Right? So the director discipline will see whether it's guilty or it's just, some false accusations being made or so. Right? So he'll consider whether to consider the case or to just, ignore it. If he decides, no, yeah, this is the matter of concern against the CA, then the director discipline will decide or check prima facie whether the complaint, whether it is related to the first schedule or whether it is related to the second schedule or whether it is related to both schedule. I told you, there are 2 schedules to the Chartered Accountants Act. Right? So complaint has come to the disciplinary directorate. There is a director discipline. He checks prima facie whether the complaint is related to the first schedule or whether it is related to the second schedule or it is regarding both first schedule also as well as the second schedule. Okay, if the complaint is related to the first schedule, the matter will be further referred to the board of discipline. Right? So there is a disciplinary board of the ICAI. Right? So board of discipline. Right, the complaint will be further referred to passed on to the board of discipline. So it came to disciplinary directorate. There was the director discipline. Now he has passed on the complaint to the board of discipline because it is related to the first schedule. If it is related to the second or the both schedule, the matter would be further referred to the disciplinary committee of the ICAI. So this is a disciplinary committee. Right, that was the disciplinary board. This is the disciplinary committee, because it's related to the second or the both schedule. Right, so disciplinary committee. Right, then the board of discipline and the disciplinary committee, like whomsoever the case is referred to, they will look into the complaint. Okay, what are the allegations being made against the CA? And then based on if they find out, okay, the CA is guilty, he could be guilty of professional or he could be guilty of the other misconduct. I told you, 2 schedules and two types of misconduct we have, professional misconduct and the other misconduct. Right? So if they find the CA guilty of professional or other misconduct under the first schedule, who finds that? The board of discipline. Then the board of discipline, what action can they take against the member? One, they can reprimand the member. Reprimand means warning. Last time, not to do this again. It won't be tolerated henceforth. That's a reprimand. Give a warning. Okay, this time we are leaving you. Next time it will not be excused. Right? So reprimand. Or remove the name of the member from the register of member up to a period of 3 months. Right? So tell him your name is being removed from the register of member for a period of 3 months. So 3 months, no practice. 3 months, COP surrendered, nothing. Right? So remove the name of the member up to a period of 3 months or impose a fine of up to rupees 1 lakh. Right? Or impose a fine of up to rupees 1 lakh. Right? Either or they can do. Right? Either reprimand the member or remove the name of the member up to a period of 3 months or impose a fine of up to rupees 1 lakh. Right? These are the actions which can be taken by the board of discipline. Right? If the member is found to be guilty of professional or other misconduct, whether it's CA in practice or CA in service. Okay. If the matter is related to the second or the both schedule and the disciplinary committee finds that the member is guilty of professional or other misconduct, then what they can do? Same. They can reprimand the member. And last time, not to do this again. Warning. Reprimand. Or they can remove the name of the member permanently. Oh my God, this is terrific. Or for any period. First schedule looks cooler. It looks much, very, what do you say, small, as small negligences, minor accuse over there as compared to second schedule or both schedule. for say up to maximum period of 3 months, they can remove the name of the member. Here, remove the name of the member permanently. Okay? You can never ever again become the member of ICAI, or for any period, like for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or for any period, or impose a fine of up to rupees 5 lakh, right? Or impose a fine of up to rupees 5 lakh. Okay, these are the actions which can be taken by the board of discipline or the disciplinary committee. Now, the member is aggrieved. He is not happy with the decision which has been passed by the board of discipline. He says, no, I don't think I have done anything wrong. Why are you removing my name from the register of member? Right? So member is not happy with the order which has been passed by the board of discipline or the disciplinary committee. In that case, the member can further make an application to the appellate authority within 90 days. Right? Further, an appeal can be made to the appellate authority, right? Again, of the ICAI within 90 days. And then the appellate authorities, it will reconsider the case, right? It will look into the matter, then send it back for reconsideration to the board of discipline or the disciplinary committee, right? Or they will confirm the case, right? Confirm and set aside the case. They can reduce or enhance the penalty, right? They can reduce, they can say, no, CA, what you're saying, you're not guilty, you are guilty, right? So reduce or enhance the penalty, or pass such other order as it considers fit, right? So as it finds appropriate, further it can pass the order, right? So that further the matter goes to the appellate authority of the ICAI. Right? Clear to all of you? Right? So do you understand the disciplinary mechanism, that where to file a complaint against a CA, who looks into the complaint, then what happens if the CA is guilty of the professional or the other misconduct? Right? So that's the entire procedure being explained over here. Right? So guilty, not guilty, if it is falling in the first schedule, second schedule, or both schedule, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, that is disciplinary board or the disciplinary committee, right? Then look into the matter, and if he is found guilty, then reprimand and up to a period of 3 months or so. And if the member is aggrieved with the order passed, right, then within 90 days an appeal can be made to the appellate authority, and these are the actions which can be taken by the appellate authority. Yes, you also might be thinking, I don't know how I am able to understand everything. Are you surprised with yourself? How is it that I am developing interest in audit? How is it that I am able to pay attention? You say, ma'am, you are making assumption. So you tell me, if my assumption is wrong. If you don't tell me anything, obviously I'll assume only, If you tell me something, then I'll come to know. Nahi bola to, isliye no news is good news. So, you're listening now very attentively to me, all new information now for all of you. Right? All good? Yes? Okay. Right. So let's look into the disciplinary mechanism of the ICAI. Right. So this is the website dist.icai.org. Right. So home about us, act and the rules. Right. The code of ethics is what we are discussing. Right, I told you the volume 3 is the case law referencer, right? The various case laws over there, right? And then you say, oh, I want to file a complaint. So click on this and then you can file a complaint, right? Against the CA, and then you can do the physical filing, or you can do the e-form, and then the name of the complainant, membership number if he is a member of the institute, because it could be your client also, name of the member of the firm against whom the complaint is being made, membership number, firm registration number, right? Then the latest address, and then after that the address of the member or the firm, then the particulars of the allegation. Okay, what is your complaint against the member, then the documents, schedule, evidences, name of the person, and so then the attached complainant scanned signature, right? And then obviously along with that you also need to pay the prescribed fees, right? So you need to pay the prescribed fees to the ICAI, right? So it says you make the complaint to the institute, and along with that you also need to pay the prescribed fees to the ICAI, right? So amount of 2950 including the 18% GST. Right, so you just cannot just without any amount, you cannot make a complaint, right, against a member. You have to pay the amount of 2950, and then you have to select the complainant type, whether it's individual, government, department, or private entity, and then you need to submit this complaint to the institute. Right, are you getting that? Okay, then in the ICAI, I told you there's the director discipline, and then the board of discipline and the disciplinary committee, and then after that the order would be passed, right? See, so the order could be passed by the board of discipline or the disciplinary committee, right? So what are the orders passed like by the board of discipline? Like say example for 23-24, just giving you an example, right? And then after that you see it over here, the name of the CA and against another chartered accountant, right? And this is the case number, right? They've given the CA details. The board of discipline received a complaint against the CA, granting him an opportunity of being heard, made a representation, and the complainant had not come to the honorable ICAI with the complete and true facts. The complainant had not enclosed any documents. The board carefully went through the cases, and then he was found of guilty of other misconduct within the 241, right? Clause 2, part 4 of the first schedule. We'll see that. And then remove the name of the member from the register of members for a period of 1 month. So up to 3 months, no, board of discipline, first schedule, right? So, and also impose a fine of up to ₹1 lakh upon him. Right, so that's the order which is being passed, right? What does it say? Read with section 22 of the CA Act, because section 22 is where the professional and other misconduct is given, under which they've made the reference to the 2 schedules to the Chartered Accountants Act. Okay, right, so that is for the board of discipline. And then after that you also have the complaints, the matters which have been orders passed by the disciplinary committee, right? So that's the disciplinary committee of the ICAI, and then say anyone, just let me pick up, right? And these are the, the members who were present over there, the party present, and then the final hearing through video conferencing, and so, right? Then second schedule, right? So chartered accountant does not exercise due diligence, like I told you, is not PCDC, not there, professional competence and due care, right? Appeared before the committee, the disciplinary committee, right? All the allegations and findings, then all, and then what does it say? His name can be removed permanently, no? It's second or both schedule in a disciplinary committee. So your the name has been removed for a period of 3 months along with a fine of 25,000, right? So it's up to ₹5 lakh, right? Shall be payable within a period of 3 months from the date of the order. Right, so this is how it practically also happens. Recently, I heard that, I don't remember, I think ITC biscuits or something, I don't know, but like somebody, it was claimed that in that packet of biscuits, there should be 16 biscuits, but there were only 15 biscuits. One biscuit was less. So then 1 lakh had to be paid by the company to the consumer, right, to the customer. So I was just wondering, okay, when you open a packet of biscuit, like, do you first count like how many biscuits are there? But maybe it might be serving or giving. So may happen to have count and then come to know, okay, oh, there should have been 16, but there are only 15 biscuits. Okay, so then the complaint is made. So that goes to the consumer court. But yeah, here we are talking about the ICAI. Right, here we are talking about the ICAI. Is it clear to all of you? Right, so you have the board of discipline and the disciplinary committee of the ICAI. Right, so you see over here, would see the disciplinary committee, right, the standing and the non-standing. Right, so this is the disciplinary committee of the ICAI. Right, so they have the disciplinary committee which will look into, and then you also have the board of discipline of the ICAI. Right, you also have the board of discipline of the ICAI, right? So executive directorates, right? Then you have the disciplinary directorate of ICAI, so which brings you to this website over here. Okay, right. So with that in mind, let's proceed further. Let's go ahead. Now coming to the types of misconduct, right? So I already told you there are 2 types of misconduct. It could be the professional misconduct or it could be the other misconduct, right? Professional misconduct or the other misconduct. Okay, and this discussion where he is guilty of professional or where he is guilty of the other misconduct has been done under the 2 schedules to the Chartered Accountants Act. Right, so now what we need to do, you can open a double page in your Fullscape notebook and write from the center so that the entire page is allotted for this purpose, right? So start on a fresh page, or even if you have a big book, then you can just make it on one page of the book. Right, in the center of the page, all of you, I want you to write down schedules to the CA Act 1949. Right, schedules to the CA Act 1949. Right, under that we write down 2. Right, what do we write down? The first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act, and then we write down the second schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act. Right, the first schedule and the second schedule. Right, under the first schedule, I will write down part 1, then part 2, then part 3, and then part 4. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Under the second schedule, I will write down part 1, part 2, I'm writing Roman number, right? And then part 3, right? Part 3, right? So 1, I will keep a clause over, column over here for writing the clause numbers, and then part 1, 2, 3, 4, first schedule, and then second schedule, part 1, 2, and 3. Right? Second schedule, part 1, 2, and 3. Right? So we have the first schedule, and then we have the second schedule. Everybody getting part 1, 2, 3, 4 first schedule, and part 1, 2, 3 second schedule. Right, now I will say 2 words over here, PM and OM. Who is PM and who is OM? Yes, PM, right? Yes, what would PM and OM mean? Yes, not the greatest prime minister which our country could have ever had, right? So great respect and honor for that, for our PM. But yes, what does the PM over here mean? It means the, yes, professional misconduct, right? It means the professional misconduct, and OM means the other misconduct, right? It means the other misconduct. Right, then if I write CA in P, means CA in practice, correct. Then if I write CA in S, that means CA in service. And if I say CA generally, G, that means generally, means applicable to all CA, whether in practice or whether in service, doesn't matter, applicable to all CAs. Right, it is applicable to all CAs, right? Other conduct nahi re, other misconduct, okay? Right, so professional misconduct and the other misconduct, and then CA in practice, CA in service, and generally. Generally means applicable to all CAs, whether in practice or whether not in practice. Are you understanding that? So in practice or in service, okay? Now, yes, you understood these abbreviations over here, right? Noted them on a separate page. Right, kept them separately. Okay, right, now coming back to our dabba, our table, a box which we are making over here. Right, part 1 of the first schedule. You follow when I say part 1 of the first schedule? Right, this is part 1, this is the first schedule. Part 1 of the first schedule is PM for CA in P. That means it is professional misconduct for CA in practice. Part 2 of the first schedule is professional misconduct for CA in S. That means professional misconduct for CA in service. Part 3 of the first schedule is professional misconduct generally. It's professional misconduct generally. That means applicable to all CAs. And part 4 of the first schedule is not professional misconduct, it is other misconduct general. It is the other misconduct general. Right, now coming to the second schedule, part 1. Part 1 second schedule, I hope I am clear. Right, part 1 second schedule is professional misconduct, again for CA in practice. Part 2 second schedule is professional misconduct generally. That means applicable to all CAs, whether in practice or not. And part 3 second schedule is the other misconduct generally. Is the other misconduct generally. Okay. Further, under part 1 of the first schedule, we have 12 clauses, right? So, number of clauses, we have 12 clauses. Under part 2 of the first schedule, we have 2 clauses. Part 3 of the first schedule, 3 clauses. Part 4 of the first schedule, 2 clauses. Second schedule, part 1, 10 clauses. Part 2, 4 clauses. And part 3, 1 clause. Right, so that means 12 plus 2, 14, 14 plus 3, 17, 17 plus 2, 19. 19 clauses under the first schedule, and 10 plus 4, 14, 14 plus 1, 15, 15 clauses under the second schedule. So 19 plus 15, that is the breakup of the 34 clauses of ethics. Right, giving you a moment to make a note of what I have just said. Just write a done on the chat box once you have finished drawing. Right, finished writing this. And then after that, now we will start with the clauses. Right, like we'll start with clause 1. And then we'll write down clause 1, 2, 3, 4. So I told you we need the entire page up to clause 12. Because part 1 for schedule is having 12 clauses over there. Those who are done, please write on the chat box where is professional misconduct discussed, under which part and which schedule, and where is other misconduct discussed, which parts and which schedules. How many of you have not even opened a notebook so far, not written a single word? I hope there is no such great personality attending the class. Okay. Done. Super. Okay. Right. So tell me what is, where is professional misconduct discussed and where is other misconduct discussed? Part 1, 2, 3 first schedule and part 1, 2 second schedule is professional misconduct. Correct. And then part 4 first schedule and part 3 second schedule is the other misconduct. Correct. Is it right? Okay, right. So that's where professional and the other misconduct is discussed, right? That's what they've written over here. Professional misconduct and the other misconduct, right? And then the disciplinary action under section 21 if he is found guilty of the professional or the other misconduct. Okay, right. So other misconduct, a CA forged the will of his relative. Right, so this he did it in his personal life. Like yesterday I told you, CA is going to the bank and has taken a loan and his check got dishonored. So that happened in his personal life. But still it is bringing the disrepute to the profession. You remember professional behavior. Right, so what does it say? Other misconduct. The CA is expected to maintain the highest standards of integrity even in his personal affairs. So you'll say, ma'am, this is not relating to my work. In my personal life, I can do anything. No. Even in his personal affairs, highest standards of integrity, even in his personal affairs, and any deviation from these standards, even in his non-professional work, would expose him to disciplinary action. A member is found who is found to have forged the will of a relative. So you made unauthorized changes to the will of your relative. That you did it in your personal life. वो तो तुम्हारे घर की बात है, कहानी घर घर की. That used to be a, what do you say, a TV serial soap, which used to come long time back. Okay, probably when I was in school that time. And there used to be these two, Kyauki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi and Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki. Anyways, that's not our discussion over here. A member is found to have forged the will of the relative would be liable to disciplinary action, even though the forgery may not have been done in the course of his professional duty. Right, you understand that? So other misconduct, right? So even read this one. What does it say? Convicted by a competent court for an offense involving moral turpitude, punishable with transportation. What is transportation? Where you are not allowed to leave a particular country, or you're not allowed to enter a particular country. In Hindi, they call it as tadi par. So transportation or imprisonment to an offense not of a technical nature committed by the member in his professional capacity. This is section 8. You remember section 8? Disabilities for membership, the fifth one over there, right? Convicted by a competent court for an offense involving moral turpitude. Again, it says that also is the other misconduct. You're bringing disrepute to the profession. Naam kharab kar rahe ho, and disrepute to the profession. Is it good? Okay, right. So schedules to the act. What are the schedules? Right, first schedule, second schedule, first schedule part 1, 2, 3, 4, second schedule part 1, 2, 3, and then you have the number of the clauses under each one of them. Okay, right. Further, first schedule, right? So first schedule, how many parts? Part 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, what have we written over there? Part 1, first schedule, PM, CA and P. That is professional misconduct, CA in practice. Part 2, first schedule, professional misconduct, CA in S, CA in service. Part 3, first schedule, professional misconduct generally, means applicable to all CAs. And part 4, first schedule, other misconduct generally. That means again applicable to all CAs. That is what is written over here. Deals with professional misconduct of a member in practice. Member, chartered accountant in practice, which would have the effect generally of compromising his position as an independent person. So it's applicable to CAs in practice. Right. Part 2 deals with professional misconduct of members of the institute in service. So CA in service. Part 3 deals with professional misconduct of the members of the institute generally, means applicable to all CAs. And part 4 deals with other misconduct of the members of the institute generally. So that's again other misconduct for all CAs. Right, clear to all of you? Right, then after that, so first we have the schedules, then the first schedule. Now coming to the part 1 of the first schedule, and in that we come to the clause 1, part 1, first schedule. Just see if you understand this dabba, this goal, this circle over there. Clause 1, part 1, first schedule. So it's the first clause of the part 1 of the first schedule. Yes, do you understand that, everyone? Okay, right. Quickly tell me, just quickly, right? Tell me, how would you read this particular section of company law, 141(3)(d)? How would you read it? Yes, those of you who are fond of law, also studying LLB or very favorite subject, law, ma'am, I just love studying law. Right? Tell me, how do you read 141(3)(d) of the Companies Act? Jo bhi act hai, you just tell me how you read it. Yep. Yes, you read it as, okay, you've written the answers for professional and other misconduct, which schedules and which part. Very good. Okay. Nice, nice. Yeah, section 141, subsection 3 and clause D. Okay. You are inversely right. Yes, even the next one. Right. Section 141, subsection 3, clause D or clause, yeah, whatever. Clause D. Okay. Right. So all of you are inversely right. Right. So because comfortably we read it that way, but technically we say clause D of subsection 3 of section 141 of the Companies Act 2013. And that's how we say, right? Clause D of subsection 3 of section 141 of the Companies Act 2013. Is it right, everyone? But you are right. It is section, subsection, and the clause that we need to refer over there. Now, when it comes to ethics, rather than clause, subsection, and the section, what we have over there is the clause, the part, and the schedule. Right, and a section is of the act, but a schedule, or what you say, a schedule is not of the act. A schedule is always to the act. Right, so to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Had it been a section, then I will write section of the Chartered Accountants Act. But section, schedule, I won't write of the act. Schedule is to the act because it's after the act. Right, so schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act. Right, so we have the clause, the part, and the schedule. Right, clause, how do you write down? Normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, your normal numbers. How do you write down the part? Part, you write down Roman numbers, Roman number 1, 2, 3, 4, any one of them. And schedule, how do you write down schedule? You have to write down first, either spell it. Either it could be first or second. So F-I-R-S-T, first, or second, like S-C-C-O-N-T. Right, second schedule. Right, and this is normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right. So like say example, it is clause 6 example of part 1 of the first schedule to the chartered एग्जाम में नो राइटिंग सी है, शॉर्टकट नहीं यूज करने का. ओके, टू द चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स एक्ट 1949. Right, so clause 6 of part 1 of the first schedule. Yes, technically this is how I write it. 6 number, 1 Roman, and first spelling, first, second, जो भी है वो. Okay, but now when I discuss it with you in the class, yes, when I discuss or when I write it in the class, I will write it as 611. 611. In the exam, will you write like this? Not at all. Exam, how you write? ऊपर. Clause 6 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. But when I discuss in the class, I will say 611. Or say, let me give you an example. Please write on the chat box, what is 122? I've written 122. क्या है 122? 122, 122, 1.2.2. क्या है? 122. Okay, what is it? 122. है ना? What is it? What is 122? I've written 122. It is type. It takes time. ऊपर से buffering का भी time होता है. It reaches little few seconds later after I speak. Oh, wow, clause 1 of part 2 of schedule 2, but probably just the part 2, maybe in typing and keyboard you couldn't do it that way, so you could have written part 2, that is the Roman 2, and schedule 2 you could have written second schedule. Okay, so what is it? It is clause 1 of part 2 of second schedule. This is how you need to write it whenever it's asked in the exams, right? To the Chartered Accountants. You'll write the full word, but I'm just writing to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Amazing! Clause 1 of part 2 of the second schedule. 122. Oh my God, you are not in a mood to study, it looks like. हाँ, ऐसे नहीं बोलते हैं. अच्छा, but ऐसे नहीं बोलना है, ऐसे बोलना है. Clause 1 of part 2 of the second schedule. Okay, right, to the Chartered Accountants Act. अरे वाह, मस्त मस्त. Okay, right, so you understand, if I say in the class 1012, does it mean, now don't write 1012, huh? Now, what does it mean? 1012. So, clause 10 of part 1 of the second schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act. If I write 712, it means clause 7 of part 1 of the second schedule. If I write 331, clause 3 of part 3 of the first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act. Right? Clear, everyone? A clause 1 of part 11. Part 11 किधर आया रे? No, what you are writing? No na, part 11 nahi, what you wanted to write, I don't know. Okay, so you can just check what you've written. Okay, so this 10 now you have to take it as 10 and 1 and 2. Okay, so clause 10 part 1 of the first schedule. Okay, of the second schedule over there. Okay, you understand? Right, you understand the numbering, you understand how you have to write in the exam. 6 is numbers, 1 is Roman, and first and second you have to spell. Why write it that way? Because that's how ICI writes, and God is always right. So, and in the what do you say, in the tagline we've written over there, no, in God we trust and others we audit. Right, I'll just put it for a moment for you to see it. Okay. Right, so we've written, no, in God we trust and others we audit. Okay, right, so coming, understood that part? Okay, right, now or samjho. Okay, when the question is relating to the part 1 of the first schedule, it is professional misconduct for CA in practice. Say example ले रही हूं मैं. I'm going to discuss all the 34 clauses with you, but say I take it as an example. Okay, say the question is regarding the clause 6 of the part 1 of the first schedule. 611 का question है. So how does my answer start? Start writing with me, everyone. As per. Yeah, as per is very important because हर एक answer ऐसे ही start होता है. As per what? Because you have to write the technical, the theory over there first, right? So as per essay, कोई भी essay का number, या as per some section or as per some clause, right? So as per clause 6 of part 1 of first schedule, है ना? To the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Now, what is it? Part 1 of the first schedule. That means it is professional misconduct for CA in practice. है क्या नहीं? It is professional misconduct for CA in practice. So, as per clause 6 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. In the exam, you'll write only in one color. Here, just to distinguish, I'm using different colors. It's part of one sentence only. What does it say? A chartered accountant in practice or a member of the institute in practice. जो भी लिखना है. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, as per clause 6 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. What does he do? You see, it's everywhere he mentioned over there. So she is never wrong. It's always he who is wrong. Okay, right. So anyways, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. What does he do? Right, we are talking about clause 6. Later on, I'll discuss it with you. But right now, I just want to show you how the clauses are to be written. So I'm just writing the content over here. What does he do? If he solicits, what is he doing? Soliciting. What? Client or professional work. Keep writing with me. Client or professional work. Directly or indirectly. Directly or indirectly by circular, advertisement, or the personal communication, interview, or by any other means. Wonderful. Likho. Is there an option on the chat box for you to send me an image or so? So you can send me an image of what you've written. I want to see what you are writing. As per Clause 6 of Part 1 of First Schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he solicits client or professional work directly or indirectly by circular, advertisement, personal communication, interview, or by any other means. Ouch, guilty. Guilty of professional misconduct. You understand? Right, so this is the first sentence, depending upon what clause is asked in your exam. This is the first sentence which you will write in your answer. This first sentence, I have divided it under 3 parts over here. I've written the clause number, I've written whether it is CA in practice, CA in service, whether it's professional or other misconduct, and then I have to write down the contents of the clause. Is it essential for me? Is it mandatory for me to know the clause numbers? 100% yes. ये आना चाहिए, ये लिखना ही पड़ता है. This you have to write in the answer. Part 1. Part 2. Do I need to know the contents of the clause, or can I write in my own words? No, you have to know the contents of the clause. It's not an audit question, vouching verification where you can write on your own. You have to write it as it is. It's a legal provision. You can't write it in your own words. So you have to learn it. You have to learn it by heart. You have to parrot it. Parrot, Okay, so you have to do that. I'm being very clear and upfront. How to parrot it? Revise it. Say it again and again. Like school, nursery rhyme, and CA final, ethics, clauses. Right? You have to remember them. Are you getting it, everyone? You have to write this in your answers. Okay. Right. Did you understand the second part of the sentence which I've written over there? A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he... Okay. Do you think this second part of the sentence will undergo a change depending upon the part and the schedule? The second part of the sentence will undergo a change depending upon the part and the schedule. Yes, let's try the 7 alternative drafting which can come for the second part of the sentence. Right? Are you all with me? Let's try the drafting for the second part. This is the second part of the sentence, the pinky color. Pink. Right? Rani color. Rani. Okay. Right. So that part we will talk about it. Right? How the alternative drafts will come over there. Right. So what does it say? If it is part 1 for schedule, we'll say a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, whatever. If it is part 2 first schedule, we say a chartered accountant not in practice or a chartered accountant in service is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. Then, if the question is regarding part 3 of the first schedule, we'll say a chartered accountant, whether in practice or not, is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. And if the question is regarding the part 4 of the first schedule, we say a chartered accountant, whether in practice or not, is deemed to be guilty of other misconduct, no professional misconduct, other misconduct if he. Right? That's for the first schedule. Second schedule, part 1. Right? Second schedule, part 1. Right? What is it over there? If it is part 1, second schedule, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. Right? If it is part 2 of the second schedule, right? Part 2 of the second schedule, then we say a chartered accountant, whether in practice or not, is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. And if the question is regarding the part 3 of the second schedule, we say a chartered accountant, whether in practice or not, is deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if he. Clear? Crystal clear? Right? Crystal, solitaire, clear? Like absolutely clear for all of you? क्या लिखना है, कैसे पढ़ना है, कैसे बोलना है, क्या लर्न करना है, सब समझा? Did you understand everything that I'm mentioning over here? Then we finish with the 34 clauses. Then after that, we study the Council General Guidelines. Then we study some recent decisions of the Ethical Standard Board with no clar, and then ethics. Done. Done, 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 done. Okay. Right. Right. So let's start with 111. Oh my God. What is 111? Don't write 111. Okay. What is 111? What student who has written 122, right? What is 111? What is 111? 111. 111. 111. What is 111? जंगल का वन नहीं, इंग्लिश का वन. One. Not one. You've not won the match. It's one. O-N-E. Okay. You say, ma'am, you are only interpreting all this. We are not saying anything like that. Okay. Okay. Whatever you say. Clause 1 of part 1 of the first schedule. Good. Mission accomplished. Achieved. Super. Clause 1 of part 1 of the first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Happy. Super. Masta. Okay, chalo, ab aage badhte hain. Now we start with our discussion on the part 1 of the first schedule. Part 1 of the first schedule is having 12 clauses. Part 1 of the first schedule is applicable only for CAs in practice. And part 1 of the first schedule is applicable only for the CAs in practice. Okay, so before I say the 12 clauses of the part 1 of the first schedule, before the 12 clauses, there is going to be one common sentence. What common sentence? As per clause dash, whatever it be, 1 to 12, any of the number of part 1 of the first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. ये तो 12 clause के पहले चिपकेगा, ये तो आएगा. This will come before the 12 clauses. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. And then we'll see what he has done. Clear, everyone? Right. So let's start 111 as per clause 1 of part 1 of first schedule to the exam में ऐसा नहीं लिखने का है ना. Exam, you know, you'll write 1, 1 and 1. Right? This is how you'll write in exams. Okay, right. As per clause 1 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. You say, what he's done? Why you are making him guilty? Right. What does it say? If he allows. Oh, he's allowing. What is he allowing? He's allowing any person to practice in his name. That I am a practicing CA. I have a very near and dear friend. I say, you practice in my name. No problem. Practice. No problem. Use my signature. Use my firm name. Use my membership number. Practice in my name. I will be guilty of misconduct under 111. You understand now? Jija is allowing the Sala, है ना, कि you practice in my name, right? With allowing the brother-in-law to practice in the name. Your brother-in-law is not a CA and then you're allowing him, he's BCom graduate or something, and allowing him to practice in your name. You will be guilty of misconduct under 111. Right? Allows any person to practice in his name. If I allow anybody to practice in my name, I will be guilty of misconduct under 111. Okay. Now, does that mean that nobody can practice in the name of CA? No. So, for every clause, what you need to appreciate, for most of the clauses of ethics, what you need to appreciate is कि what is the misconduct? क्या किया तो misconduct है? And what is allowed? Okay, this is okay. This is no problem. This is allowed. So misconduct. So every clause, this is what we have to analyze. What is the misconduct? What are the exceptions? What is the misconduct? What are the exceptions? So what does it say? Professional misconduct if he allows any person to practice in his name. So if I allow anybody to practice in my name, I will be guilty of misconduct under 111. Unless means what starts over here is the exception. Unless means these people, they can practice in my name. Unless such person is also a CA in practice and is in partnership or employed by him, right? Or is in partnership or employed by him, right? What does this mean? Okay, there is a person. If this person is not a CA, then he cannot practice in my name. This person is a CA, but he is a CA in service. Then again, he cannot practice in my name. This person is a CA in practice and he is my partner. Then he can practice in my name. Or he is my employee. Then he can practice in my name. But others, they cannot practice in my name. Say I am a CA in practice and there are 50 practicing chartered accountants in front of me. 50 practicing CA chartered accountants in front of me. Can all these 50 CAs practice in my name? No, only those CAs can practice in my name who are my partners or who are my employees. You understand that? Only those CAs can practice in my name. Right? So if you're not a CA, question does not arise. You're not a practicing CA, question does not arise. If you are a practicing CA, only being a practicing CA, you can't practice in my name. You have to be my partner or my employee. Only then you can practice in my name. Right? So why this clause has been introduced? Now, every clause you have to think कि क्यों institute ने ऐसा बोला है? कि why they say it's professional misconduct? कि why this is not allowed? Right? Why it would be guilty? It says this is to prevent unqualified people from acting as qualified accountants. You don't have a degree, you're not a chartered accountant, but happily you're getting to practice in the name of CA. Then why go through the rigorous course of ICAI? Just enjoy the luxury. Right? So that's the reason behind introducing this clause. Otherwise, one CA, practicing CA, 10 BCom graduate friend, all are practicing in the name of the CA. No, they cannot practice in your name. You understand that? Clause 1 of part 1 of the first schedule. Right? Practice by non-CA. You will be guilty of professional misconduct if you allow a non-CA to practice in your name. And if it is a CA also, there is condition. Okay? He should either be your partner or he should be your employee. Right? That is clause 1 of the part 1 of the first schedule. Right? There is a question asked in your exam, Sant and Pant. Right. So you see each of the clause, right? So how you see part 1 of the first schedule. What is part 1 first schedule? Professional misconduct in relation to CA in practice. Okay. Right. Then what does it say? Clause 1, part 1 of the first schedule. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he allows any person to practice in his name as a CA unless such person, so unless is exception, such person is also a CA in practice and is in partnership with or employed by him. Right. So that is 111. Right. This is the chart which I just discussed with you. Right. So this clause has been introduced to safeguard the public against unqualified accountant practicing under the cover of the qualified accountant. It ensures that the work of accountant will be carried out by a CA who is his partner or employee and would work under his control and supervision. Right. Read the question number 1. Right. Read question number 1. Yes, everybody reading question number 1. What does it say? Examine in the light of the professional misconduct. Right, so first you begin your answer with 111. See how it's written? Clause 1 of the part 1 of the first schedule. Right, to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949 states that a CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he allows any person to practice as a CA unless such person is also a CA in practice and is in partnership with or employed by him. Right, then why this clause has been introduced by ICAI? To safeguard the public against the unqualified accountants. So did you notice what is the first part which I write in my ethics answer? I write down the clause which I taught you in 3 sentences, right? Right, I told you, no, these are the 3 parts of the sentences in which you write down the clause. Right, then after writing down the clause, you write down the justification. Okay, why institute is not allowing this? Or, you know, many of the clauses, there is something that the council has clarified about that clause. So, like just on when you get a pizza, you know, on that pizza, you, before, you know, when the pizza comes in front of you, generally you don't start eating it immediately. What you do, you put some oregano, some chili flakes and all of that, some olive oil on it, and then after that you take some ketchup with it, and then you consume the pizza, right? So similarly over here you have to give some seasoning to your answer, right? So you, whenever you're reading the case studies regarding ethics, you have to search for the seasoning. Okay, what justification, what masala, what spices I can add to my answer, right? So justification counsel, right? Okay, whatever justification counsel has said, you can add that to the answer. Then third part of your answer is the case. Okay, in the given case, whatever has happened, and pant and sant and all of that, right? And then final is the verdict, that is the conclusion. In the given case, Pant will be guilty of professional misconduct. Right, everyone? Do you follow that? Okay, right. So how do you write down an ethics answer? So ethics answer format. What are the 4 parts? No need to write these headings like in the exam. This is just the mental draft. You need to keep it in your mind that first you write down the clause which comes under the 3 parts of the sentence. Then you write down the justification or something that the council has said about this clause. Then you write down in the given case, and then finally you give the conclusion. Right? Finally you give the conclusion. Is it clear to all of you? Right, so guilty of professional misconduct or guilty of other misconduct or not guilty. But if he is guilty, like say the last point in your answer says that he is guilty. So further, now it's first schedule, right? So further in your answer you can write that the board of discipline, thus the A is guilty of professional misconduct, and the board of discipline may reprimand the member, remove the name of the member up to a period of 3 months, or impose a fine of up to ₹1 lakh. Right, this is what you can write as an extension to your answer when the CA is guilty. If he is not guilty, don't write had he been guilty, then the board of discipline would have reprimanded. No. Then you can write there is no violation of the provision of the Chartered Accountants Act and the schedules thereto. But if he is guilty, then depending upon first schedule, second schedule, accordingly you can mention board of discipline or the disciplinary committee and the actions which can be taken by them. Right, and the actions which can be taken by them. Okay, right, just want to show you one more additional question. Okay, surprisingly it got missed in updating. I'm mentioning it very clearly in putting it in the book. It's just this one question. I don't know like how we missed on this, so I could request you to make a reference to page number 19.43 in your notebook where you're writing 19.43 of ICAI study material, chapter number 19, page number 19.43. You go to ICAI, Board of Studies Knowledge Portal. You get the PDF of the study material there. So there I want you to come to page number 43 and read this illustration 5. So you can just keep a note in your book that it's illustration 5. Right, Mr. C, CA in practice allowed his brother-in-law, Mr. P, who is not a CA, to practice in the name of C. He also allowed Mr. T, who is employee in his firm, to practice in the name. Whether C is correct in allowing his brother-in-law, Mr. P, and Mr. T, employee of his firm, to practice in his name. Right, so first you start with as per clause 1 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct fee. Right, then generally you should write the justification or what the counsel says. Then in the given case, right, Mr. C, CA, who is in practice, allowed a non-CA, his brother-in-law Mr. P, to practice in his name. Right, CAC is not correct in view of the clause 1 of the part 1 to the first schedule. However, he can allow Mr. T, who is his employee in his firm, to practice in his name. Right, conclusion. Thus, CAC will be guilty of professional misconduct for allowing P, who is not a CA, to practice in his name as a CA as per clause 1 of part 1 of the first schedule. Right, to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Right, clear to all of you? So this is just that one question. I don't want to have the guilt of not having mentioned it to you. If we are doing the class, you never know if this is the one which comes in the exam. So please, please, please make a note of it. Right, page number 19.43. Probably you can click it also and keep it handy with you. And anyways, once you've seen it, I know you will be able to write the answer. But it should not be that you've not seen it. So that is already taken care of. Okay, right, so 1 gone, 33 left, 34 are there now, so 1 shooted, now 33 more, and we have to finish with the other clauses over there. Right, so now coming to the clause 2 of the part 1 of the first schedule, right, 211, right, clause 2 of the part 1 of the first schedule. Okay, right, let's see, have you ever visited any doctor? Never? Oh, absolutely fit and fine and healthy. Okay, you have visited. Okay, so when you went to the doctor, did the doctor give you some medicines? Okay, did they check you, then diagnose, and then you told your symptoms, and did the doctor give you the medicines? Okay, then you started taking the medicines, but still you were not recovering, so you again went to the doctor. Then the doctor, what does it say, suggested some blood work, some blood test to be done by you. Okay, so then you got the blood test and blood work and all of that done. Then, but still, with your reports, you went to the doctor, and then there was some findings or something in the report. So the doctor said that no, this is a matter which requires a specialization of some another doctor. So I will give you a reference to another doctor. You go to that doctor, and he will give you the required treatment. Okay, so now first time when you go to the doctor, he prescribes some medicines to you, and after he prescribes the medicines to you, he tells you that when you go down from this complex, there are 2 medical stores over there. One is on the left, one is on the right. You don't go to the one which is on the left hand side. You have to go on the one which is on the right hand side and purchase the medicines which I've prescribed from there only. You'll get a 5% discount. That's what he says. Okay, so you go to that store because you know that you will get a 5% discount, but obviously the doctor is going to get 20% commission. That's the reason he's referring that store to you. Okay, right, that is one. From the medical store, the doctor is getting the commission. Then after that, he says that you need to get some blood work done, some test to be done. Again, he says that, I will give you the card, I'll give you the address of a particular lab. So you go to this lab only. I only see the reports of this lab. If you get the report of any other lab, I will not check it. Right? So we bring your report from this lab only. All your checking to be done from this one. Right? So again, you go to that lab, pay 4,000 rupees over there and get the checking done and so. Okay, then again from that the doctor gets 20%. Then he says that now you need to go to another big doctor, some specialized doctor, and he says go to this doctor only. No other doctor will be able to treat you. Why? Because that other doctor is going to charge you 50,000, and from that 50,000 this fellow over here is going to get 10,000. You understand? Right. So basically what I'm talking about over here is the cut practice. right? This is cut practice, right? Which the doctors, where they get a cut from the medical shop, and they get a cut from the diagnostic lab, and they get a cut from another doctor if one doctor refers to another doctor, right? Similarly, a chartered accountant, what he is doing, he goes for a morning walk, okay, every day morning, and a Surya Namaskar he does, and then he goes for the morning walk. And then when he goes for the morning walk, in the same complex where he lives, there is a regional manager of a bank who is living over there, and every day in the walk he catches that regional manager and tells him that, manager, the entire hundreds of branches are under your control, just see that I get the audits of at least 20 branches, so each branch audit fee, I know it's 1 lakh, so I'll get a remuneration fees, audit fees of 20 lakh, right? 1 lakh per branch, right? So 20 lakh fees I will get, and then I will give you, right? I will give you 5 lakh rupees out of that, or I will purchase a computer or a laptop for you out of that, or some like that, right? So this is from the receipts of the profession, from the receipts of the CA, from the fees which the CA is receiving for rendering his professional services, he is giving a cut, right? If CA is giving a cut, right, like say to the government official or to the regional manager of the bank or something, then the CA is going to be guilty of professional misconduct under 211, right? Clause 2, part 1, first schedule. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, right. So this student is asking, should the employee be a CA as per 111? Yes, it has to be a CA. That's what we said over here. No, it has to be a CA. It has to be a CA in practice, and it has to be your partner or employee. So even that employee should be having a COP to practice in your name. Okay, right. Like, so big fours, they have employed partners also, they have the equity partners also, right? So salaried, so you are employed as a partner over there, so then you can practice. Okay, right. So now coming over here to 211, right? What is 211? Yes, cut practice not allowed for CA. Okay, CA is earning the fees. I'm getting receipts of my tax audits which I do, and out of the tax audit fees I'm giving some share to some person. I will be guilty of professional misconduct under 211. Right. So what is 211? As per clause 2 of part 1 of first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he. I hope you are able to register what I said, right? Guilty of professional misconduct if he. What does he do? You say, what did he do? You say he pays or allows. He pays or he allows. Or he agrees to pay or allow. He says, I will give you 10% commission. Don't worry. Or he is already given. Pays or allows or agrees to pay or allow directly or indirectly. So directly I will give you the cash, or I will buy an Omega watch for you. Right? Directly or indirectly. Right? Pays or allows or agrees to pay or allow directly or indirectly. Any share, commission or brokerage. Any share, commission or brokerage in the fees or profits of his professional business to any person other than म्हणजे काय? Other than means what? Exception. Okay, with these people, I can share my fees with. But with a regional manager of a bank, with a government official, with any other person, I cannot share my fees with. I will be guilty of professional misconduct to any person other than. Right, ICAI member. So can I share my fees with another member of the institute? He's not my partner. He's just a member of the institute, another CA in practice. Can I share my fees with him? Yes. There are many CAs, who are, say, like doing practice since last 40 years. So they have a set practice, huge client base. Okay, you qualified and you say, I want to practice as a CA. Now, day one, you open your office, nobody will give you work. Right, so then what you do, you go to this established CA who is doing practice for last 40 years and ask him, okay, if you can give me any of your work, right? So he says, okay, anyways, I have too much work. So these 5 branches, you do the audit and I will give you 20% or 40% you keep and 60% I will keep, right? So is that allowed? Yes, right? Within the CA profession, it is allowed, right? So ICAI member allowed. Can I share my fees with an ICAI member? Yes. Can I share my fees with the partner of my firm? Obviously, yes. Otherwise, nobody will become my partner only. You understand? Okay. T wasn't a CA but was still allowed, right? So T wasn't a CA, so who is an employee? So it's not mentioned to practice in his name, right? So what does it say? Who is not a CA to practice in the name of C? That was Mr. P. But Mr. T, he also allowed Mr. T, who is an employee in his firm, to practice in the name. The question is silent whether T is a CA or not, right? So you have to make an assumption that he is a CA, right? So I hope it gets clarified. If not, you can put it again over there. Okay. Right. So anyways, can I share my fees with the partners of my firm? Yeah. Rather, for firms, you have the profit sharing ratio. Right. So you can share fees with the partner of the firm. Right. Retired partner. Right. So, he was the partner. Now he's retired, enjoying retirement life. Right. But still, can he get a share in the profits of the firm? Yes. Retired partner. Yes. Okay. Next one. Legal representative of a deceased partner, right? Legal representative of a deceased partner means a partner who has died. Legal representative, LR, right? So say example A, B, C, right? 3 partners in a firm. Out of that, C died. Right, so now A and B are running the partnership firm, right? So can A and B give a share in the profits of the firm to the legal representative of C? Can they give a share in the profits of the firm? Yes, but the council has put condition over there. What is the condition the council has put? Okay, the sharing of the fees on the death of the partner to the legal representative should be mentioned in the partnership deed or the partnership agreement. It should be mentioned in the partnership deed that in case of an unfortunate death of any of the partner, the legal representative would be given a share. And the period should also be specified, okay, for how long, okay, till the time the firm exists, or for 10 years or 5 years or 20 years or 25 years, for how long will the sharing be done? Is it mentioned in the partnership agreement? Yes. Is the period specified? Yes. Then you can share the profits with the legal representative of the deceased partner. Otherwise, you cannot share. Otherwise, you cannot share. Right. It's mentioned in the agreement, but period is not specified. No sharing. It's not mentioned in the agreement. No sharing. Question only does not arise. It has to be mentioned in the agreement. The period has to be specified, and only then the sharing is permissible with the legal representative of the deceased partner. You understand that? Okay. Right. This is in case of, like, say 3 partners in the firm and one of them died. Right. Say there was a sole proprietor who was in practice since last 30 years. And CAA was in practice since last 30 years. And CAA died in a road accident. Right. So he was in practice for last 30 years and sole proprietor, and he died in a road accident. Now, the legal representative of the sole proprietor, can she or he, whosoever, one of them dies, so the other, right, the legal representative or the children, right, the legal representative, can they sell the business of this proprietor? Can they sell the practice of this proprietor? Yes, the legal representative can do the sale of the business of the proprietor in case of the death of the proprietor. Right, so sale of business is nothing but the sale of the goodwill. Right, say A was practicing in the name of A and Company. So can the right to use the firm name also be sold? Yes. Even the right to use. So say the practice is sold to CAB. So can CAB use the firm name A and Company? Yes. Even the right to use the firm name can be sold. But the condition is that the sale has to be completed within 1 year from the date of the death of the proprietor. Right? So if the proprietor dies today, From today, within 1 year, the sale has to be completed. For 1 year, the institute will keep the firm name in abeyance. Abeyance means to keep it on hold. They'll not release that firm name to anybody else. Right? This is a normal case where there is no dispute regarding who has to receive that goodwill amount. Okay, say sole proprietor is having only one son and that one son has to receive all the goodwill amount. So then the sale has to be completed within 1 year. But say there is a dispute regarding who should receive the amount of goodwill. Say sole proprietor has 3 sons. So one son is saying, hey, no, Papa has told me that you will take my entire goodwill money, don't give anything to these other 2 fellows. Other 2 are saying, no, we need to have equal share of 33% for all of them. So there is a dispute going on. So now in case of dispute, within 1 year, you have to inform ICAI that there is a dispute. Within 1 year from the death of the proprietor, if there is no dispute, within 1 year you sell it. But if there is a dispute, then within 1 year you have to inform ICAI. So today he dies. From today, within 1 year, you have to inform ICAI that there is a dispute. Then say the dispute gets settled after 7 years. Example, 10 years, 20 years, 30, any. They say the dispute gets settled after 7 years. So after 7 years, it has to be sold within 1 year. So then it has to be sold within 1 year from the date of settlement of the dispute. So if there is no dispute, then it has to be sold within 1 year from the date of death of the proprietor. If there is a dispute, within 1 year you have to inform the ICAI that there is a dispute. And then after the dispute is resolved, then it has to be sold within 1 year from the date of settlement of the dispute. Okay, CA died, his practice was sold to CAB, say for an amount of 50 lakh. Obviously, CAB also has to be a practicing CA. Right, so say CA died, his practice was sold to CAB for 50 lakh rupees. Okay, so one-time lump sum payment, sale of goodwill done to the legal representative of the sole proprietor of 50 lakh rupees. Are you understanding that? Okay. Now CAB started doing the practice of CAA. He started making the profits. He started getting the fees. Will the legal representative get a share in the fees or the profits now from Mr. B? Will the legal representative, they got one-time lump sum amount in the form of goodwill of 50 lakh, legal representative. Now will they get a share in the profits or the receipts of the firm from CAB? No. No participation in the earnings of the firm. Only one-time lump sum payment in the form of goodwill. Only one-time lump sum payment in the form of goodwill. No share or no participation in the earnings of the firm in case of sale of goodwill. But in case of partnership firm, will the legal representative get a share in the profits of the firm? Yes. Here goodwill nahi hai. Yahan pe share in the profits of the firm for the period which is specified in the agreement. Right. What if all 3 partners die? And I told you one of them dies. But what if 3 partners in a firm and all 3 die? Then you need to apply the provisions of sole proprietorship. Okay, you have to sell the business. The legal representatives have to sell the business within 1 year from the date of deaths of the partners. Yes, did you understand? Legal representative of deceased partner. One of the favorite area for questions by ICAI and also death of proprietor. Right? Sole proprietor. Can his business be sold? Yes. Can the right to use the firm name be sold? Within how much time it has to be completed? Yes. Understanding? Yes, getting it all? Understanding? Listening, now you listen to me carefully. Right, so what are we discussing? Clause 2 of part 1 of the first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. Right? What does it say? A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he pays or allows or agrees to pay or allow directly or indirectly any share, commission or brokerage in the fees or profits of his professional business to any person other than ICAI member, partner, retired partner, legal representative of a deceased partner, member of any other professional body, and a member of any other professional body. Because I told you, now CAs, they can create MDP, multidisciplinary partnership, and with CAs, actually architect, you can start your CA firm with. So obviously you can start your practice with them, multidisciplinary partnership. So in that case, will you have to share the fees with them? Yes. So member of any other professional bodies. So they've mentioned the professional bodies and the specified qualified persons which have been recognized by the central government or the council from time to time. Right? So these specified qualified persons. Right? So what is the difference in point 5 and 6? 5, they mention the name of the body, the professional body over here, and here they mention the name of the person. Like in 5, it is mentioned ICSI, that is the Institute of Company Secretary of India. And then here specified qualified persons, they mention the member, like this, the company secretary. That's the difference. And that's how it is given. If there is a dispute between the legal representative of the partners, the time will be extended. Yeah, because the entire sole proprietor ka provisions will become applicable. Then. Okay, within 1 year, if there is no dispute, it has to be sold within 1 year. However, if there is a dispute, then it has to be, you have to inform ICI within 1 year that there is a dispute. You understand, right? And then it has to be sold within 1 year from the date of settlement of the dispute. So same, sole proprietorship provisions apply if all the partners of the firm done. Right? That's how it is over there. Okay. Right. So what we have over there, other than ICAI member, partner, retired partner, legal representative of a deceased partner, member of any other professional bodies, and the specified qualified persons. Okay. Right. So here we also have the list of, which are the other professional bodies that they are talking about, and also the specified qualified persons. Right. The members of the other professional bodies, and then also the specified qualified persons, right? So this is 211. I just discussed with you, widow of the deceased partner, can they get a share in the profits? Then sole proprietor over there, and then you have the professional bodies, right? Members of any other professional bodies, and then you also have the persons, right? The SQP, the specified qualified persons, right? So this list we will see it, right? We'll continue with our discussion on 211 tomorrow, but just right now to conclude, what we will do, because we are preparing this consolidated chart and I've just discussed clause 1 with you. Next to clause 1, just write down over there, practice by non-CA. And guilty, not allowed. And a practice by non-CA, not allowed. And 2, you just write down over there, pays or allows. And so we just write it in the short form of here, right? Pays or allows, right? Then later on, we'll keep writing 3, 4, and all of those over there. Okay. Right, so I hope you are updating this chart. 1, you've written practice by non-CA, and 2, you've written the pays or allows. Okay, right, so tomorrow our target would be to complete the entire part 1 of the first schedule, because like 6, 7, 8, even the 11 are like the huge clauses over there, big ones, right? So we will take good amount of time to study those clauses, right? So we'll continue with our discussion on the part 1 of the first schedule tomorrow, right? So it's a bit adore to the YouTube channel now. So it was first 2 days that we had planned to put it also on the YouTube channel, so that other students could probably make their decision for joining the class or so, or to purchase the pen drive or whatever is to be done, right? So otherwise, for our encrypted ones, for the students who've purchased the lectures, we continue tomorrow onwards, right? So I'll check with the technical team and encrypt the book and put it over there. And by that time, you can also check, with the technical support team regarding till where has your book reached so far. Right, so bye bye, and I hope you've had not that much torturous time, listening to the discussion on ethics. And let me tell you, it's going to be more and more interesting and knowledgeable as we discuss it further. Right, so see you tomorrow, all at 9 o'clock.